My name is Jim Moltzen. Nice to meet all of you. I've been doing this class for over 20, it's about 20 years down the road at the Winter Park Presbyterian Church, but I've been doing martial arts and wellness and fitness training since I was 16 years old. So the goal today is to see how much interest there is here, to see if we should get another class going here, or if you folks just want to come down the road, or maybe both. So what I need to do is get you all in the room. You're all sitting in the room physically, right? But that doesn't mean your mind's in the room. You could be thinking about lunch, it's 11:30, what you're doing the rest of the day. So we're just gonna start with a basic type of breathing exercise to help bring your awareness into the room so that when I'm talking, it's gonna make sense. You're not gonna be thinking about lunch at Four Rivers down the road. You're hopefully focusing on what we're doing here. So to begin, we're gonna sit in our chair, right? Got my nice little easel here for some stuff I'm gonna talk about in a bit too. And if you can, try to move off of the back of your chair. Instead of being here, move forward a bit. So I'm kind of a tall guy. My knees end up being higher than my hips a little bit. So we want our knees to be at least level with our hips. Some of you, they'll be a little bit lower if you're a little bit shorter. So that's fine. You can, again, do what you feel comfortable with, but we're trying to get away from this because this doesn't look really comfortable, okay? The whole idea when we do Tai Chi, it's standing, moving exercises, but it's also Qigong. Qigong is breathing exercises, breath work. So you're focusing on how you're breathing, and if you're all kind of hunched up and uncomfortable, you're probably not going to be breathing with much depth, all right? So we're kind of up here at the edge of the chair. My knees are a little low. Shrug your shoulders. Try and get your shoulders up to your earlobes, and then let them drop. And you can do that a couple times just to kind of release the tension in your neck and your shoulders. Oftentimes we go throughout the day and we kind of forget that we have tension and stress. The next thing you know, we're doing this kind of thing. And then you're talking to somebody and they're doing this. And they're ratcheting their neck kind of forward and shoulders are up, and it's like, wow, they got a lot of tension. And you go, you got a lot of tension, maybe you need to relax. They're like, I don't have tension, don't tell me to relax. And then they get more tense. So we're doing self-awareness. We're trying to feel for ourselves, how much tension do I have in my neck and my shoulders? I got a little bit. So that's just a good exercise. Shrug, and then let them drop. Take your palms and turn them up. The hands are another area where we hold a lot of tension. As the day goes on, a lot of times we have our hands in fists. They're tight, and we don't realize it. And then the whole day goes by, and it's like all that tension works its way up. And it's like, again, why are you so tense? Why do we have to be like that? So we're just being a little mindful. That's the buzzword the last couple of years. We're being self-aware of trying to relax our hands, our shoulders. My spine, I'm not really relaxing it. If I was relaxed, it'd be like this or here, right? But I'm mindful of keeping my shoulders over my hips. Move your neck a little bit in your head and see that tension release in your neck and your shoulders again. All right, so the next thing, we're going to relax your eyes. Instead of staring at me, you gotta see every line on my face, right? Forget about it. I'm just talking. We're just sharing information right now. So let your eyes relax. Let the vision become a little blurry, the focal point become blurry. There's chairs up here. If you need some distance, you can just slide them over a little bit. Tai Chi? Yes. Actually, Tai Chi and Qigong, which I'll explain what that all is. So again, my eyes are kind of relaxed. I'm not straining to see across the room. If you want to let them close, maybe just to the point where you can barely tell that the lights are on in the room. All right, inhale, take a deep breath. You've been breathing this whole time, but inhale through your nose and try to exhale through your nose. Real deep. Inhale, try to feel your stomach muscles. Exhale, squish your stomach muscles. So what you can do, you can open your eyes if you need to. Put your hand on your stomach for a moment. And base of your lungs are right about here. You have the diaphragm muscle that helps the lungs kind of move to take your breaths. Put your hand right above your navel and try to push your stomach out a little bit. And then when you exhale, you're going to pull your stomach muscle back. Like you're trying to squish the organs. Push the stomach muscles towards your backbone. relax, inhale, let the stomach push out. So once you get comfortable with doing that, you really don't focus on pushing the stomach out to deep breathe, but you do focus on squeezing the stomach in to exhale. And then you relax, the stomach kind of goes to where it comfortably would go. And then you exhale, squish again. Right? So we got our eyes kind of closed, our shoulders relaxed, we're breathing through our nose. Try to breathe and squish your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. When you exhale through your nose, if you can, tongue goes to the bottom of your mouth. What that's going to do, it's going to activate your saliva glands, make your mouth stay moist. If you're breathing all through the mouth, or the nose and the mouth, your mouth starts to dry out. And then you start thinking about your mouth being dry instead of being relaxed and calm. So it looks like everybody's still doing this. You're all breathing comfortably and relaxed. Your stomach's moving. Now think of the top of your head. Just like you could look in a mirror and see the top of your head. Work your way down to your shoulders. And each time you exhale, try to think of that area relaxing more and kind of melting away. Not hard to melt, just walk outside the door. It's getting near 90 out there, right? So we're trying to think like our muscles are melting and the tension's relaxing. So we get to our shoulders, we got our upper arm, our forearms, our hands, they're loose. Our back is relatively straight. Your legs are kind of loose because you're not all hunched up like at the beginning when I was telling you. Your knees are low. Think of your thighs relaxing and melting. And get all the way down to your calves, your toes. You can even clench your toes. Squeeze your toes into your shoes. And then relax, let the toes go. All right, it's all wonderful. Everybody feels great. Ready to get up and do push-ups and sit-ups and all kinds of stuff, right? No. So to finish this up, what we're going to do is we're going to bring our hands up, like we're holding onto a basketball, like a balloon maybe, because it's light. And inhale one more time. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down like you're rolling the ball down the center of your body. Exhale, squish your stomach, let your hands return. Everybody feels good. Now you're in the room, right? If you came late, not really late, a couple minutes.
Sorry.
You might have missed a little bit of the beginning, but that's okay. Because we try not to generate stress by having this class. All right, I got 2 people in the room, maybe 3, that are from my class down the street. And they'll tell you, you kind of come as you are. People come in late, I probably don't even acknowledge them for the first couple minutes. And it's like, oh, how you doing? Good, nice to see you came in. Because it shouldn't be stressful, you trying to exercise and take care of yourself. If that's the case, yeah, you might want to pick something different. You shouldn't get more stress from trying to relieve stress, right? So everybody feeling good? A little breathing thing, breathing exercise, release the tension. So what's up with the board? So oftentimes when I give these classes like this, especially like an introductory one, I have no idea how many people are going to show up. Because we don't do like an attendance thing where, we got to have this many people, who's going to come? So I bring my board. If people show up, it's like, oh, great, I can do some little drawings and things. Take video, and then some other people that missed it might be able to watch it later too. So that's kind of what we're going to do. So like I said, I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. I started off doing martial arts. And part of martial arts is physical conditioning. Tai Chi, Qigong. Tai Chi is moving exercises. Qigong is when you're stationary and you're not moving as much, maybe a little bit of movement. Yoga, kind of the same thing. They come from the same place, the same branch. Yoga's been around, a couple thousand years BC. Qigong, kind of the same. They didn't start labeling things until history went on. And then the Indian culture started to migrate towards China. They showed them some of the Qigong exercise, or the yoga exercises, and they started calling it Qigong, and they started using it for martial arts. They weaponized it so that they could be stronger and be able to defend themselves. So, anybody know what this thing is? It's a toy. It's called a tensegrity toy, or tensegrity model. Little kids play with it, it's a toy. Scientists play with it, it's a model. So, if you pull one side of it, every part goes. So how is this relative? Well, it's how our bodies are. Oftentimes when we start to exercise, people think of just their arms and their legs, and they hope that their heart gets healthy. You move their arms and their legs, swim, you run, hike, tennis, all these different things. It's mostly based upon you moving your arms and your legs. When you do yoga, a whole different game. It's moving your whole body, engaging your core, laying on the ground. You do qigong, it's mostly standing up exercises as far as we're concerned. There are a bunch we can do laying down, but you're engaging your whole body. And then Tai Chi is like yoga in motion. Has anybody done Tai Chi before? Has anybody done yoga before? Has anybody done qigong before? Anybody done martial arts? There's the common denominator that's lacking. So Tai Chi is wonderful exercise. So let's say exercise. I'm not going to write real great here just to get the point. So we have exercise. At the very least, it's great exercise. There's stretching, there's movements for developing strength, there's balance, there's coordination, physical aspects of it. It's pretty good, okay? We also have breathing. We gotta breathe. Without breathing, we're in trouble, right? So most people would agree breathing's a good thing, right? Breathing exercise, even a little better. And then we also have mind engagement. I probably could have just said mindfulness. All right, if it goes off twice, we got to put it in timeout. You know how that is, right? So these are like the three basic things that Tai Chi does for you. Hope you can read my scratch. You got exercise, you got breathing, you got mind engagement. And on the very basic level, you look at that and go, gee, Jim, that makes sense. Why are we sitting here and looking at this, right? Well, all of those things you can do, but there's also quality involved in each one of them. Hi there. Come on in, grab a seat if you could. So exercise, there's quality exercise, especially as you get older. You know the difference between good quality and low quality. Oh, let's go run. Anybody want to go run in the sun for an hour? It's 90 degrees outside. Your knees, your back, your lungs are going to be in trouble. Some of you might have heart issues. Okay, exercise. So it's not just good or bad, it's the quality for your age and your type of health, right? So Tai Chi is really good because there's no stress. The minimal amount of stress you put on your body doing it, it's very deliberate, and you regulate how much. If I say we're going hiking, let's go up to Wakaiva Springs and go hiking, again, some of you are going to go, yeah, my knees and back aren't going to do that. With Tai Chi, it's like a volume. You can turn it up, turn it down, however much you want to bend, how much you want to twist, how high you want to try to lift your leg, you decide. So it's quality exercise for the individual. Breathing, again, got to do it. Most people, especially in the last year and a half, look at breathing as an on or off switch. Either you're breathing or you're not breathing. You're dead, you're alive. There's a big spectrum in between there. The quality of your breath affects your health because it affects your nervous system. And that's a whole other thing I can go off on for a bit. So it's not just, okay, we're going to breathe. That whole lesson that I just showed you, that showed you how to breathe a bit deeper. As we get older, we breathe more and more shallow. We talk, we eat, people smoke. They're doing all this while they're breathing and they don't even think about it. So you have 3 lobes of your lung. You have 2 lobes on the one side. If you're not moving your diaphragm, you're not getting deep breaths. If you're breathing and talking and eating, you're breathing even higher and higher up. So there is difference between just breathing and breathing quality. Quality air. Good air, right? You don't want to live in an area where there's a lot of pollution. Obviously, what you put in your lungs affects your health. So that's the breathing aspect. Mind engagement. If you're not thinking about what we're doing, and you're thinking about eating lunch, or gee, there's traffic, look at that car, the Lamborghini, you're distracted. Wherever your eyes go is where your attention goes. So when we practice these exercises, for the most part, they're so engaging that it makes you think what you're doing. Let's go juggle chainsaws. Oh my gosh, you got to be focused to do that, right? Just to hold on to a chainsaw, I hope you're focused, let alone juggling them. You ever see that? When people do that, the theatrics at circuses, they got to be pretty engaged. So the idea when we're doing some of these Tai Chi movements or Qigong movements, you have to be thinking about it in order to be engaged to do it. You can't stand on one leg and really be like, you guys need to paint. walls look kind of, you know what I mean? You can't do that. You have to stay focused on what you're doing. So most people kind of come and go with all these things, you know? You do what you can with the exercise. The breathing is kind of difficult sometimes to try to focus on it. Keeping engaged, that's the hard part. So there's quality thought. What are you thinking about? You know, a lot of crazy stuff going on in the news these days, right? So most people spend a lot of time, if this is right now, in the present, we're in the room. This is us, right? They spend a lot of time over here thinking about the past. I should have, could have, would have, all that stuff. Forget about it. It doesn't matter. You're here right now. Or they're spending too much time in the future worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. Well, if you don't take care of what's going on today, you're not going to make it tomorrow. And that's part of the reason for taking care of your health. And most of you seem like you're here, you're active, you're engaged in what we're going to do. So here's where you want to be in the present. You like when you're talking to somebody and they're looking over here? Or they're checking their phone? You know, as crazy as it is these days, you're talking to your phone at the same time you're holding the conversation, because they're over here. They're thinking about what they're doing after you. Or they're upset about what happened before you. So Tai Chi gives us an hour when we do a class. If you're doing a class, right, you come to the class, you have an hour that you're kind of in the room and you're committing to doing the exercises and staying engaged. So, does this all make sense? Ready to hear me stop talking about this stuff and try a couple other exercises? So here's where we would need to stand up if you want to stand up, or at the very least make a little bit of room amongst yourselves so you don't whack into each other. If you whack into each other, that's fine. I just, some of you might not like that as much. So for the most part, if you stick your arms out about this much, you'll have enough room amongst yourselves. Front and back, side to side, about that much. If you need even more, balance. You okay? That's why you're here. That's why you're here. If you need even more room, I would suggest moving towards the back where there seems to be, more open space. So let's just start with something, kind of tell where you're at with your balance, really. But you can do it in the chair too. I'm going to bring my arms up like they're floating. They're floating up and then they're sinking down. So we'll just start with our arms at this point. So I do this thing kind of like this a little bit, where I can start to feel my muscles relax and release. And it's not an exact thing. It's not like I say, okay, shift to the right, shift to the left. No, it's you do it. It's called pendiculation. A cat gets up and it kind of stretches out and turns its head and then it goes about its business. So that's what that is. I lift my arms up. That's not where I'm doing the pendiculation part. I come down and I relax. That's the part that's the exercise, all right? This part, not so much. So as this comes up, my chin comes up. Chin comes up, chin goes down. Wherever your chin goes, that helps dictate where your spine goes. So if my chin goes up, it's a lot easier for me to arch my lower back. If my chin is dropped, it makes it somewhat easier to round my back. So even like if you're sitting down and doing this, when my arms come up, my chin comes up, my back arches, chin comes down, my back rounds. So we come up, that's an inhale. We come down, that's exhale. So if I have muscle tension, I'm holding my arms up. I can do this probably for 10 minutes. No, really. I can hold my arms out for 10 minutes, but my whole body will be shaking like this after about 5. We don't want to have muscle tension. So instead of me using the muscles to kind of hold this up, think of it like you're in water and the arms are just floating and sinking. But my chin makes my spine move. My spine is what's getting the arms to move with that floating sensation. So that takes us away from this, where it's like, some of you go to the gym or you lift weights, right? And it's all about like lifting and flexing and tightening. This is about getting the body to relax so as to increase your circulation, right? So that's the neck, the spine. So now the feet. We got our feet about shoulder width. As my hands come up, did you hear everybody adjusting? pull a little bit forward, like I'm pulling you towards me, like I'm pulling your fingers. And then we come down, your fingers gently pull back towards you. So that's going to make my heels get kind of light. You're balancing on the ball of your foot for a moment. And then you come back, chin drops, shoulders round, back rounds. You put the weight on your heels. So your foot's constantly going from the heel to the toe. But I don't necessarily need to do this. I could, I'll exercise like that. But for the intents of our class here, I want you just to get comfortable with where you feel the weight distributed. On the ball of your foot, and then to your heel. And you're like a flag waving in the breeze, right? You arch, you round. So this is a very good exercise to work on to develop balance. And on other levels, it's really good for your spine. Why is it good for your spine? Because that wave is getting your muscles and the nerves of your spine to all move, right? But the cerebral spinal fluid is getting more engaged. So that's our first exercise. Anybody fall over? You did good. So that motion kind of comes up a lot when we start to do some of the other movements, that you go from the heel to the ball of your foot and back and forth. Because we start to lose that. When you lose that, you lose balance. It's not just you, me, everybody. And then it's like, why did I fall? I tripped over a curb. Well, it's because you're losing your range of motion. You're losing the ability to distribute your weight. Everything's tighter as we get older, and your feet, they start to get tighter, okay? So that's the first exercise. Forward and back. Now we're gonna hold on to a big beach ball. One hand on top, one hand on the bottom. And it's like we're going to throw our hand to the side like a frisbee. So come back to the center here. This was 1, going a little bit forward. Actually 2 is the back part. 3, spin the ball, shift your weight to the left leg. And like you're throwing that frisbee, let it go. Where's your right hand go? It goes to your navel. So I'll give you the other view here. So this goes forward. You can see me kind of, whoa, catch my balance, right? I go back, more stable. So I'm going to go with like a mirror version here. We're going to your left, hand on the top by my nose. Look at that. My thumb lines up with my nose, base of my nose. My other hand's just below my navel. Shift your weight. Throw the frisbee. Other hand, look at that. My navel is the perfect spot to put my thumb. And then I come back to the center. Got to go the other way. So the direction I want to go is the direction I spin the ball. So you're going to your right. Yeah, this is good. We're getting the coordination things going. Throw the frisbee towards your right. We come back to the center. We roll the ball down. All right. So what I don't do, I don't run around the room checking everybody. And like, oh, yep, got to arch your back. Oh, twist. Oh, wrong hand. I don't do that. So you all are kind of in charge of what you're doing with the exercises. And if you're on the wrong side, who cares? It's not a test. It's not a talent show. But you do want to do both sides at some point. That's why we do one side, we do the other side. So you get to know what balance you have or lack thereof. Why don't we sit down for a moment or two? Find your spot, your assigned spot, right? No, wherever you're comfortable with. So I know some of you stand a little bit, your legs might start to get a little achy, whatever. So sit if you need to, stand if you want, it doesn't matter. So balance, we got this kind of balance. To stand on one leg. You're walking upstairs, all that kind of stuff. Vestibular balance, the things in your ear, the water canals that tell you your head is up, that type of balance. That's good. We want to have that. But there's this other balance that we lose, and it's from this. I'm right-handed. So I like to stand like this. Actually, I'm left-handed. But over time, we get these habits, and it comes from sitting in a chair, how we like to sit. Some of you are lounging, sitting on one side, which arm you cross on top, which leg you cross on top when you're driving, which hand is on the window, which hand is here. all of this stuff, when you're 16, 17, 18, it doesn't do much. But when you keep doing it for 30, 40, 50 years of your life, your body starts to conform to it. So that's the balance I'm talking about. It's like I could walk across the room, and I feel like I'm not gonna trip, but look at how my shoulders are. I'm out of whack. And a lot of times people don't realize this until they get injured. They go to the doctor because my neck's killing me. Or you do some exercises like this and you realize, like, wow, when I was doing this, my right side really felt tight. You're not even doing anything, but your right side is tight. Why is that? Because something's out of whack, probably in your back, your neck, your hips. So that's why these exercises, we do them. It's very symmetrical until we get into some of the sets and then things change. But I do one side, I do the other side. If I'm going to do some of the other movements, some of the other Qigong exercises, we might stand on one side for a moment or two, and then we got to do the other side. And that's usually a really good indicator of where your balance is at. So that balance, you got vestibular balance, we got structural balance, we have mental balance. I like to do the hand thing to the head. That looks cool, right? A lot of people, they're not up here. There's that Lamborghini again, stupid car. That's where their thought is at. Whatever fancy thing comes by, whatever food's in front of them, whatever fancy things on television, that's where their attention goes. So that's the mental balance thing. You know, we all have choices. They're not always good ones, but we all have choices. You can choose to exercise. You can choose to practice relaxed deep breathing. You can choose to engage your thought with positive things. If we can turn the news on and get all torqued and upset, you can turn the news off and not be as torqued and upset by it, right? So all these things we can control. So the balance stuff, that's 3 ways to develop balance that we can do with the exercises. So you want to try some more? Let's try some more. So we're not going to do like the full-blown Tai Chi form, 24 exercises or 48, 108 we just don't have time, room, or the capacity really right now to do that. So what I'm going to do, let's try that balance exercise I was talking about. If you don't want to do it, you can still sit, or you can just try the arm movements with it though too. So say that I'm right here. I'm shoulder width apart. If I shift my weight to the right side, my shoulders are over my hips, over my right hip. You don't want to stay here. This isn't how you walk, right? You're off balance. But for this exercise, this is how we're going to test our balance. So I shift to the right side. I take this foot and I get just on the toes. Just enough to balance the toes so I'm not going to fall over. So then I take my left hand and raise it up. My right hand goes to my elbow and I turn towards that left side. If you put your eyes on that hand, now you're going to have a little more challenge. We're going to try to lift our leg slightly off the ground, our left leg. And right about here, you're going to notice your right side, whoop, there you go. That's the risk. That's the risk of trying something, right? So there you go. I shifted my weight, I lifted my hand, and then I just, an inch off the ground, 2 inches, 5 inches, a foot, and then we come down. So your eyes have a lot to do with it. And that's that engagement thing I talk about. Wherever your eyes go is where your attention is going to go. So if you're looking around here, you're falling. You can't lift your arm and leg up here and be looking away. You're probably going to lose your balance. So let's see how good you are on the other side. So I go from here, shoulder width. I shift to the left leg now. Sink down a little bit, because this is all going to tense up when I lift this leg off the ground. Come to your toes. Hand up. So if your balance is kind of challenged, look forward and pick a spot like the flag. Look at the flag or the rail, put your eyes on it, and then try to lift up. If you think you have phenomenal balance, by all means, try to look at your right hand. And that's where you'll see a change of how easy it is. All right, and you set it down. So that's holding it for like 5 seconds. Does one side feel better than the other? Equal? If it's equal, then that's good. If both sides were poor, not as good. If one side is dramatically better than the other, then again, that shows you that something's out of whack somewhere. And whether it comes now or later, it's going to happen regardless, because your balance, your body's off. All right? why don't we try something different now? So that's balance. Let's go to here. We're going to hold on to this big ball again. A lot of the exercises have to do with a ball. I'll explain that in a little bit. Bring the ball over to the side here, and then one hand goes on top of the other. Pivot your feet, let your right knee bend. All right, so let's try this again. I'm very systematic with this. We got shoulder width apart. We sink down a little bit from our hips. We grab onto the ball. We pivot to the right foot first, then left foot. All right, we can step out a little bit. Our hands, after we spin the ball, one hand comes on top of the next. So I'm like this. Hand on top, hand underneath. Not this. This. Shoulders over your hips. This splashes up, and we drop down as we shift our weight from being forward to backward. So again, if you need to sit, sit. Don't just stand because I'm standing and your legs are killing you. So this we call horse stance. Like you're on a little horse. Could be a big horse, right? This one, when we turn out and our feet are parallel, like this, we call this bagua, because it's the Chinese character for 8. And if you do a whole bunch of these, you get eight sides, and it's the octagon. You know what an octagon looks like? Right? So this part right here is that symbol. We go from there, it pivots out, we get this. So I might not explain that perfect. We got horse stance. We could point our toes in for a moment. That's the ba stance I was talking about. And then we go parallel. All right? If we go a little wider, my right knee bends, my left leg is straight. This is called bow stance. So it's like you have a bow. You know, it starts right here. You actually push the wooden part away from you, and then you let the string go, and then you shoot an arrow. So these are all stable positions. You're going to do your bow. You don't want to be standing like this. You want to have your center of gravity low. So watch again now. We're going to keep adding on. We got the exercise part. Got to do the breathing, right? So as we do this, say I'm here. Let's just turn right away, 45 degrees. We got the ball. Inhale. Step a little wide. Exhale. Splash up. Inhale. Shift your weight to the back leg. Exhale. So to go back again, watch, I'm going to spin the ball. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do more. This part right here is very tender, inside of your arm, right? It's where you get your pulse. There's meridians here that connect to your organs. This is traditional Chinese medicine at its basis. This is how they believe the body works, right? Put your hand on your pulse. So if I spin the ball and I turn to the side here, it's like I'm checking my pulse, but this is going to engage my neck and my shoulders up until this point. And then I splash, this comes down. Then we come back and we do this, I'm pushing that pulse again. And then we do this and push. So it's like this seesaw, kind of, or waves going back and forth. So why don't we grab a seat again? We'll come back to this in a moment. So exercise part, I think you got, right? It's like, okay, it's going to take a little coordination, balance, stuff like that. The breathing, we try to inhale when we start. You exhale when you push away. And then an inhale when you come back, like my breath is so strong I can suck my hands, it's pulling back. And then my breath is so strong I can push. Pull and push. So that sounds kind of loud just because I'm exaggerating it. But that's the rhythm. So the breathing, it's kind of cool what happens next here. Is it okay I'm explaining all this stuff, or did you just want to do an hour of exercise? Because if we kind of do some of this stuff, and this makes sense, when you do an hour of the exercise without as much talking, it's like, oh, it makes sense why I'm doing this weird stuff that Jim's showing me. You know, did any of you ever see this on television or a movie or something, and you just looked at it and shook your head and like, those guys aren't sweating. They're not doing anything. Doesn't look like it's that hard. Yeah. It can be as hard or as easy as we decide to make it as we manipulate each one of those things. So normal breathing. Most people breathe throughout the day 12 to 18 breaths per minute. That's not that good. Used to be about 12 to 15 a couple decades ago. We got stress. We sit more, we don't exercise as much, we watch TV more. You know, it's just the way it is. Our lifestyle has changed in the last couple decades. So we're at about 12 to 18. 18 is stressful. When we exercise cardiovascular, you're running, swimming, you know, you do that. And then it comes back down again. But when we're operating up here all the time, that's not good. Because what happens is your body's constantly releasing these hormones that say that you're on. You're constantly alert. You're always waiting for something to happen. Because back, you know, a couple hundred years ago, you did have to do that because there were animals that would eat you. Or your neighboring kingdoms would pillage you and take all your stuff, right? So they had a heightened sense of awareness. Now, you know, we don't need to operate up there so much. So what we need to do, just being mindful of your breathing. Okay, I'm mindful of my breathing. How long are you mindful of your breathing for when you do that? 2 or 3 breaths, you know? It's like you need to mind your breathing. You need to focus on deep breathing. Okay. You do it 1 or 2 times and that's it. So that's why it's important you kind of do some kind of exercise routine that incorporates it. So if we breathe in, say we take 4 seconds to inhale and 4 seconds to exhale. Okay, that gets us to around what? I've done this math so many times. I'd say it's like 7.5 breaths per minute. Say we take a pause. We breathe in, we pause, we breathe out. So that's 12 divided by 60 seconds. 60 seconds divided by 12, we're down to 5 breaths a minute. Oh my gosh. We add another pause, we get down to like 3.75 breaths a minute. Inhale. You can just try it right now. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, same thing. You know, you just do that. That's the easiest one that you actually can do that, like throughout the day, just in your car driving or sitting and watching television. That one's not that hard. These other ones are a little harder. So I'm not gonna make you do that, you know, but you inhale for 4, you hold it for 4, you exhale for 4, pause again, and then it comes back. And this is actually called box breathing, because you got 4 on each side, so it kind of makes a box. You know, it's just a quick way of remembering what it is. So why is that even important? Because if we keep hanging out up here, this is where our body's producing all these hormones, the cortisol, that affects your organs, that keeps telling you, it's like, I gotta keep running. When can I stop running? Can't. Gotta keep running. So your body's constantly producing this chemical. It tells you that you're always in alert state or being chased by an animal. So if we get down below 10, looking for an open spot here, 10 breaths per minute below, which we easily do by just being a little bit mindful, right? That's where your body starts to say, hey, we're kind of relaxed right now. We're gonna regenerate, like when you go to sleep at night. It's like, yeah, you go to bed, usually you feel better in the morning. A little bit, right? Something's gonna happen, your body regenerates. So right around here, this is where you start getting your dopamine, your oxytocin, serotonin, all these fancy names for the chemicals, endorphins. It's got a cool little acronym too. It's DOSE. I don't know if any of you have a medical background. Dopamine, produced in the brain, has like a reward. You did something good. Chocolate, dopamine. Oxytocin, that's the nurturing. You get 2 times, then we got to put in timeout. Oxytocin, that's the nurturing hormone. You feel good, like when you're around people, your family. That's what the brain produces. Serotonin, can't remember. That one might be the chocolate one. Endorphins, that's when you exercise and afterwards you feel good. You get like the runner's high, or you know, you got your blood moving and hey, I feel good now that I exercised. You release the tension. So these things happen when you get your breaths below 10 breaths per minute. That's why Tai Chi is so good. Some of you grabbed that sheet I passed around. It's got benefits. It's got a whole bunch of benefits. This is what it's all connected to. It's regulating your nervous system. So what else we got? We got the exercise, we got the breathing, got the mind engagement, stress relief. You know, I could talk about this stuff for hours. I enjoy this. I write all kinds of charts and booklets on this stuff because I find it engaging for me to help teach this to people. But you really don't want to just hear me talk the whole time. You got to do some more exercises, right? So again, let's make a little bit of space. And we're going to do a little bit more detail of that last thing that I was showing you. So you do need to have about this much space, if not a little bit more, side to side, front and back. So now I'm going to put in a couple more of the little things to watch. And these are the things that maybe you can't do them all, but the more things you can try to do engages your mind more. So let's say we do this first part. We start feet together, shrug your shoulders, relax, let them drop. Make a big heart shape, a Valentine heart shape. And at the point, the bottom of it, push down. So that's a breath. That should be a deep breath right there because you're expanding your lungs, your chest. Inhale, and as you exhale, feel this release of tension, like a calm coming over your body. So really what that's supposed to do now is plug into your memory of what the first exercise is. So, you know, I know the exercises because I'm leading the class, right? So I do this breath, and I'm already thinking about the next step, which is going to be to sink down, go to your toes, and draw a half circle so as to get your feet shoulder width apart. There's that balance thing, right? So again, I was here, I sunk down, I come to my toes. You can look down if you need to right now. Draw a half circle, like from forward to back, and then shift left, shift right. Feel your center of gravity sink so you're equally distributed with your weight. So that becomes a little bit more difficult to do if you don't look at your foot. Not much, but a little bit. So now I'm thinking I'm about shoulder width apart, but maybe I'm not. If I looked in the mirror, if I looked down, I would know. I don't care. I'm going by what I feel to become more aware of my body instead of, oh, it's wrong. Because that doesn't matter if it's wrong, it's what am I thinking? Hopefully that makes sense, right? Half, or what do we got? A little horse stance here. Our hands float up. Think of like your fingers being pulled a little bit, and then your fingers pull back a little bit. Right? So from here, I'm going to shift my weight to my right hip. This foot connects all the way to my hip, just like that toy, right? It's all connected. So I don't turn my foot, I'm turning my hip. And then I shift my weight. Here's what we call a cat stance, like a cat scratching. Grab your ball, go from your toes to your heel, and then shift your left leg, the weight on your left leg, to your right leg as we do that hand position that I talked about earlier. All right? My feet are flat. This leg is locked. This leg is slightly bent. That allows me to do this kind of side to side, or, you know, really it's forward and back type of movement. Any questions? I gotta take a deep breath once in a while. So like 5 to 10 minutes before the end of the class, if I forget, you guys remind me, right? You guys can, 30 of you, one of you remember, that we gotta ask questions at the end. I gotta allow 5 minutes if you have questions. So let's come back to what we just did. Feet together, big heart shape. Inhale. Exhale, feel the calm come over your body as you release. Sink down, toes, half circle, shift left, shift right. When you feel you're stable, sink, like an inch or two. Arms float up, heels become light. Arms sink down, toes are light. Shift to your right leg so you can pivot. There's that angle, 45 degrees. Shift your weight, so now you're in this cat stance. Spin the ball, catch your pulse. Step with your heel. Shift your weight, sink your hips. Hands go one on top of the next, just like they're going on the wall here. And then I draw back, these splash. Shift your weight back, arms come down. Grab your ball. Catch your pulse again. Shift your weight, sink your hips. reach your arms. All right, let's reset yourself. Go back to where you started. So there's this concept that is pretty much throughout all of these exercises, and it's the feet push your waist. Your waist kind of directs your torso. Your torso moves your arms. So everything comes from the bottom up like a tree. The root is in the ground, that's your stability. The trunk, what you see, spread. And then the branches and leaves are the expression of the wind in the trees. So there's a whole lot of philosophy that goes with this stuff too. We got exercise, we got breathing, we got mind engagement. We also have the physical aspects, we have the energy aspects, go with breathing, and we have the self-awareness aspects of your mind being engaged. Here's where people get caught up a bit. Sometimes it's interpreted as spirituality, mind, body, spirit. And they're like, oh, don't get into my religion. It's not religion, it's self-awareness. Whatever you do with that, that could be a religion or sitting in your backyard drinking a coffee, whatever, you know. Self-engagement, self-awareness is your mind engagement. So let's try this again. Here's our deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So here's all this stuff, the mechanics. I got the foot, the weight, right? The arms. Now what I was just talking about right here, I step with the foot, I shift my waist, I express with my arms. And that's the same thing going back. I shift my weight from my feet to my hips, I express with my hands, and they finish. Then I go back, feet, waist, arms. Now watch, this opens. Shift, pull back. So it's like the hands are always a little bit behind. Feet, waist, arms. So we gotta do the other side. This isn't good enough. We can't just do one side. You gotta do both sides. So now again, you're gonna see which side has a little better coordination. We just shift to here, pivot this whole right hip, 45 degrees to the corner, shift into the cat stance. We're gonna go to the left, so we spin to the left. Catch your pulse. Step with the heel. Shift your weight from the right leg to the left leg. Our hands end up not here, here. Shoulders over your waist. Splash up, shift back, let your arms drop. So I'm gonna move away from the wall here. Catch the ball, my pulse, shift, finish with the arms. This opens, kind of like a little flick. Shift your hips, your waist, then your arms follow. We go back, shift your hips, your waist, your arms follow. So if I want to go to the other side, I could again just pivot, cat stance, spin the ball because I'm going to the right. I spin to the right, catch the pulse. You get to see up close what the feet look like. From here, cat stance. There's a C. I go from the toes, I make a C. It's called a C step. And then that gets me to here. Here's my splash. Feet push my waist pulls my arms. Catch the ball again. Here's the pulse. Push. Clear. Pull back. So look at all this weight that I have on my back leg. It's the feet to the waist, and then I push. All right, to finish it up, quick breath, inhale. Exhale right away. Look up to the right, inhale. Exhale a little slower. Look straight up, inhale. Feel the calm come over your body. Neck is loose, shoulders loose. Exhale, squish your stomach, relax. A lot of stuff going on, right? Who's going to Four Rivers?
Going.
Whole Foods?
Okay.
Why don't we all sit down again for a moment or two? Maybe a little longer. So I throw the Four Rivers thing in there. It doesn't matter, I'm just giving something else to think about. When you're doing this and you're paying attention, you're kind of watching what I'm doing. And if I say something stupid, you're like, I caught that. Or if I, I mess up lifting my foot up or whatever, you're all like watching like, hey, he screwed it up. Because you're engaged. I don't care if I screw up, I'll fix it the next time. It doesn't matter. It goes back to that, I had in the middle, the past and the present, the future. I'm here to engage my mind and do the exercise. If I mess up a little bit here and there, it's not a big deal. So we got the exercise that we were just doing, right? We try to do this all with the exercise, the breathing, and the thought with each exercise. That makes sense, right? So what's all this stuff? Get some black on my fingers from the ink there. When we touch here, traditional Chinese medicine is part of Tai Chi. It's like, instead of just getting sick and not doing anything, go exercise. That's how it kind of connects to traditional Chinese medicine. That their culture and the doctors won't just say, well, go take 2 aspirin and go home and sleep it off or whatever. It's like, no, practice some exercises, get the blood moving, get some fresh air, maybe drink some tea that's good for you. So it's a different way of looking at it. So there's these energy meridians that travel in the body. Western medicine looks at it like it's blood, basically, in the veins and arteries and the nerves. It's probably a little different with traditional Chinese medicine. So this meridian that comes off your thumb right here is to your lung. There's one on the middle of the finger that goes to your heart, and it's actually the sac that protects your heart, and then the little finger does go to your heart. So when we press right here, those are the 3 meridians that you would actually press to relax and calm the body. It calms the organs. Your lungs calms the organs, your heart calms the heart, slows things down. So when we're just doing this and it's like, okay, let's do the exercise, and I'm not talking about it, I kind of cycle through those, and there's some positions where I touch parts of my body, and it doesn't look like much, but actually I'm doing some self-massage of those meridians. So it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of depth to it. Let's run in place for 5 minutes. How much depth is there? After like 10 seconds, you're like, I don't want to do this. And you're thinking about something else as your knees and your back is bothering you. There's not a lot of depth to a lot of the ways we exercise. So it goes back to what I was saying, quality exercise, quality in your breath, quality of what you're thinking about. So if you know more about how this stuff all works, it's like, oh, I'm massaging those pressure points that calm my body. Then there's some meaning behind why we're doing all this stuff. And it doesn't just look like nothing to a bystander. It's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on right there. So our feet, the meridians go, there's like 12 of them. And then a bunch of other ones. There's 8 other ones. So we do these exercises all the way down to our toes. So when I got you doing this stuff, okay, we got the lung, large intestine, pericardium. This one connects respiration, digestion, elimination. The heart's on the little finger, small intestine. On the feet, we got the kidney, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the gallbladder, the kidney. Does everybody have the same amount of coordination and dexterity as when they were 12 or 14? Or, yeah. No, right? Some of you might have a hard time touching your thumb to your little finger knuckle down here. So all of this stuff, it's not just arthritis and lack of dexterity, it connects to those organs. It's all connected. So with our toes, that connects to our balance, but really that rocking back and forth, each time we do that, it keeps making our balance, challenged, which is good, but you're stimulating those main organs, your stomach, your spleen, your liver, your kidney, with every one of those steps. So from acupuncture point of view, anybody ever go to an acupuncturist? Was it fun?
The acupuncturist, the Dalai Lama.
I always find it interesting because I ask them all these questions. Because with my martial arts background, it was engaged with traditional Chinese medicine. So a lot of things I learned wasn't from the clinical setting. It was from, oh, you just sprained your ankle? Here, let's do these pressure points. You hurt your knee? Oh, let's do pressure points. Let's put some herbs on your knee. So it's always fun when I go to an acupuncturist that I learn things. So the organs with the ball of the foot, where was I going with that? Every time we do that, we're giving ourselves that little massage of those main organs. So hopefully that makes sense. So there was some other point that I was going to get to, but I can't remember what it was. So we are getting to the last 5 minutes. Did anybody have any questions, comments? Yes.
If we get
I don't have any more, but if you just, pass them around so that, you can look at them. I only brought like 11. I printed the first one, and I was like, okay, it's good. Hit 10, so I got 11. And again, I don't know how many people are going to come out. So are there other questions?
I had a question here. How about the blood pressure? You say that it could lower the blood pressure.
Yes, definitely. Goes back to this,
The breathing.
the breathing. Breathing is the key. It seems so cliche. It's if you're not breathing, you're dead. But again, it's the quality of your breath. And that regulates your nervous system. Your nervous system affects how healthy you are. That's how it works. You're going to still twist your ankle or, smack your head. Those type of things are still going to happen. Those are injury type things, right? But as far as the way the body works and being in balance, it's all about the breathing because it's all about the nervous system.
The deeper you breathe, the better.
Yeah, the more you get into it, the more I get into it. I've been doing this, like I said, for 40 years, but now I'm taking classes again for alternative medicine and wellness. I'm working on a bachelor's degree in that. So it's all the anatomy classes and stress management stuff. A lot of it's just filling in the blanks of things that I've learned over the years. So with the breathing, we get where we're breathing really deep. The deeper you breathe, you're taking in more oxygen, right? More oxygen is good for the whole body. Well, there's more to it. When you get into more, I'm pretty intense into this stuff, right? I'll do exercises, an hour, half every day on my own, aside from when I teach, 5-6 days a week probably. So I'm into this a bit. So when I'll practice this, my breathing is a lot slower. It might even be slower than this. I could do that whole thing in maybe one long, deep breath. So I'm not taking in any more oxygen, but the body is still moving on what it has. So if you're not in that good a shape, you really need to watch that. You want to get more oxygen in your body. If you get to a point where you're training and you're doing this and you know your body and you're conditioning, the slower and deeper the breaths are, you're actually taking in less oxygen. And the body's processing the carbon monoxide or the carbon dioxide, and you actually feel like $1 million from doing that because the blood chemistry changes. It thinks that you're in a different state, basically. So anyway, there's a lot more to it. We can only get into so much, but this right here is the key. Slow your breathing down, and the blood pressure changes. You got to breathe.
When I breathe through my, trying to get it out my nose, but I breathe. It seems like it's coming from some other place besides my
Well, we try to breathe as much as you can through the nose. Some people have congestion, allergies.
my stomach or something.
Your stomach is where the diaphragm's above your stomach,
So that's
below your
what
lungs.
I should be doing, right?
And if you see children, infants, they'll breathe like that naturally on their own. It's not until they start talking and then doing other activities where they start breathing and talking quick, and they're all up here then. As we get older, it keeps going higher up.
This goes stomach up, out.
Yeah, definitely. Again, there's a lot more with all this. So we try to breathe through our nose because it filters the air, warms it up, takes the garbage out of the air, brings it into the lungs. You breathe in through your nose, out through your nose is the best because it's monitored, it's regulated. And that's how you can start to get into a good pattern with that being real deep. In through your nose, out through your mouth is the next preferred way. So if you have a deviated septum or, again, congestion, it might be hard to breathe in through the nose the whole time. So you try in through the nose. That's obstructed. Okay, I did the best I can. Then out through your mouth. The worst is just breathing through your mouth because you breathe in whatever's floating in the air, and generally it is a more shallow depth. You feel like you're breathing in deep because it's sucking air, and it's not. It's just pulling air in your mouth, and it's not moving here. So sometimes people will take a book, lay flat, and put a book on the stomach, and then try to raise the book when you inhale, and then just let the book fall as you exhale. And that's just a good way to get some practice of moving the diaphragm. So, does that answer your question at all? You were next, actually, over there. You had a question.
My introduction is like and I find it intriguing. I remember the exercises, maybe about when you reinforce them next week or next day.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to remember anything today. Today was just, hey, who's this guy? See what Jim has to offer. So we could decide if we're going to do a class here or, just come to my class or this isn't for you. So every month I change what the exercises are. And that makes it so you have a better, you get to do all kinds of different stuff. It's like, wow, variety, not the same stuff over and over again. But then if some part of your body doesn't agree with what the exercise is, like my knees kind of hurt a little bit from that one exercise, you know next month it's probably going to be a bit different. So I don't make anybody do anything. I encourage you to try to do the exercise on your own. Anybody does it on their own, that's great. Most of the people, I think, when they come to the class, once they leave, they're on to their next thing. 2 days a week is like minimum. I do it there 2 days a week, and then I go do my stuff every day almost, right? So if people do something on their own, a little bit here and there, even just this, inhale, exhale, do that for 4 or 5 minutes, a couple times here and there. You'll start to remember some of the things, but I don't, got to do it this way every day, no. So does that answer your question? And what did you have?
My question is, I want to know if we continue scheduling, if we have a forum of people who want to continue. Oh, yes.
I guess I don't need to turn around and see you guys do your own silent vote or whatever. Well, we would do Thursdays at this time, right?
Yes. Every week? We can do every week.
Yeah, I normally work on a month schedule because occasionally, before the pandemic, I was going out of town and traveling and doing all kinds of other, I go teach with my friend in Arizona and I go learn with another friend in Chicago. That's come to a halt. So what I do, I put out a monthly calendar. I actually print it up. I'll give them on the way out. For the most part, it's every Monday and Friday down the street. If we start doing it here, we could start doing every Thursday if, there's a commitment that people want to come and try and do it. And that. Yeah, it is $10 a class. I do punch cards, so it comes out a little cheaper. Instead of making cash every class, I sell them in blocks. So you get 6 classes, 10 classes, or 15 classes. It is a little cheaper, than the $10 per class. It drops to 15 classes for $100, so it's like $7 a class or something, like $7.50.
So you don't have to come every week, you just, when you get the card and
Yeah, and punch the card. You got so many classes left. It's how, like a lot of yoga class, like yoga studios do it. Then you're not, I'm gonna miss out if I go out of town or I'm sick or whatever. It's like you pay for 10 classes, you get 10 classes. Yes. Yeah. Same time. It's 11:30 to 12:30 on Mondays and Fridays. So what I would do for this group, I would just take that same card that I do and give you guys a card. When I make up the new ones, I'd put this address on there too. But you could use the card either way. It's I know who you are because you got my card, so it's got my name on it. So we could do that. So.
Is the class kind of one continuous motion from 11:30 to 12:30?
We stop. The first part, we do that heart-shaped movement for the first 3 to 5 minutes. Because again, it gets everybody in the room, gets everybody's focus on what we're doing. So then if anybody comes in late, it's like, oh, we're at that part. They don't feel like they missed that much because, it's the same thing pretty much. Every month we start with that. And then we go into the next thing. So the next exercise that I've been doing, I'm doing it kind of quick here. We do this one for about 5 minutes. Do that, ends up being like 10 or 15 times. And then we go to where there's something with a little bit more movement. And these are all moving Qigong exercises. This is a couple of the ones that we're working on. Seems like a lot, but you kind of do what you can. We go through it. So then we do a couple of those kind of exercises. We get near the halfway mark of the class. I used to have a break before the pandemic, but we kind of stopped that just to keep people, kind of engaged with what we were doing before they would sit down for 10 minutes and shoot the breeze. So if you need to take a break, you take a break at halfway.
You have YouTube videos,
I do. I do. So over the last 20 years, I took a lot of video of the classes. I'm recording today, too. I just record them because I'm getting older, and I thought it'd be good. Keep track, document all these exercises. And I had like 200 of them. So I had time over the pandemic, so I put a whole bunch of them up on the YouTube. And then I contacted the members of the group and said, hey, if you can't come to the class, because we were on lockdown for like 2 months, do the classes at home. And then I contacted some of the other neighborhoods and places and said, you know, hey, here's a gift. Here's classes. People feel like they're stuck. They're locked down. They can't do anything. Some people use it as an excuse. It's like, I couldn't exercise for the last year. Okay. You could have walked. You could have done anything. Go out in your backyard and garden, do something. So I was trying to take away that excuse. It's like, it's 200 videos, lectures and classes and all kinds of stuff. Try to stay healthy over the lockdown. So, yep, YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you gotta type my name in, Jim, my last name. I can give you a card, it's got my name on it, because you won't remember my name. Moltzen, is it on there? Google my name, a whole bunch of stuff will come up. Go to YouTube and put my name in, and the videos will come up. Mind and body exercises is the big thing. Any other question?
It's not a question, but you use the background soundtrack, which
Yeah.
is a huge help.
I play music in the background that helps this breathing pattern. So even if you're not thinking about the breath like that, it's soothing music. Some people can't hear it, other people it's too loud. It's like, can't make everybody happy, find where you're comfortable in the room to, engage with the music if you want to. But I'm in a group with all these other martial artists and wellness people, and one of them is like a concert pianist. He's a really talented person. He started making music for classes, for Tai Chi classes, and it goes along that 4 count, it's a 4/4 beat, so that you can actually hear a little chime, and it tells you when you should be either inhaling or exhaling. But if you're not paying attention, it's just in the background, you start to relax, and your breathing starts to get slower just because of the pace of the music. If I'm playing Led Zeppelin or something like that, you can just feel like it jolts your nervous system every time you hear it. So that's not what we're looking for. It's relaxing. There's chimes, there's bells, there's piano, and I have it playing in the background during most of the classes. It would have been too much today to do it. So it's the church down the street, Winter Park Presbyterian Church.
Next to the hospital.
It's a little ways down from the hospital. It's right next to the fire station. It's a huge facility, the Presbyterian Church. They got a big parking lot in the front. You park, you walk up to the building, you look where the steeple's at, and that's the fellowship hall on one side, the sanctuary is on the other. So if you find the steeple, it's right there. So, and 400 South Lakemont Avenue, that's where that's at. So that's going to keep going regardless. It's been going for 20 years or so. People always ask me how long I'm going to do it. I'm like, I don't know. Why would I stop? I'm going to still exercise. If people still want to participate, why would I stop? Because so many people are kind of stuck on this. Well, I'm going to do something for a month. I'm going to sign up for a month or whatever. That's fine. Do it for a month. And if you like it, sign up for another month. I don't really. I'm going to do it regardless. So we'll keep doing that class. This class looks like people want to do it. When can we start? Can we do next Thursday?
Oh, and it's a block from the wellness center, so you can walk up from the church to the wellness center cafe.
Yeah, go grab a bite for lunch. So
Wonderful.
I'll give the office the walk-up time. I know there are people who express interest.
that's why I videotape too, because I can put that up and people will see what they missed. So.
And you told me your threshold is you need at least 8 people.
Yeah, I'd like 8 people to make it, worthwhile to do it. So I don't make a ton of money doing this. I do have to charge because there is an exchange of services, and you have to be engaged. Paying for my class. I'm going to go to my class. It does keep you engaged. I do free classes. People stop showing up. So
2 days.
Mondays and Fridays, and then we'll be doing Thursday here.
We'll do it Thursdays next week.
Yep, Thursday next week. I do ask you all to fill out a release form too, so I'll bring those next time. Just, it's insurance. If I fill it out, that means nothing's going to happen, right? And if something does happen, I got a phone number, somebody to call. So.
And you'll come prepared with punch cards
Yep,
next week
yep,
as well.
yep. We'll be all ready. As far as you're all concerned, come back next Thursday, and we'll be in this room.
I'll ask Rebecca to send out an email again, saying we're gonna start the classes. Show up.
Yep. Will we be in this room?
Yes, I think we can.
Because that'll give us some room to spread out and makes it just a little more comfortable. Even before the pandemic, we would spread out and have room.